So I come to you in the middle of a sandstorm in the UAE desert because of this. This is the brand new Audi e-tron. And Audi is going to hope that this sandstorm is headed directly in the direction of Tesla. So far, Tesla has been the poster child for electric mobility. Well, frankly, Tesla has put electric mobility on the map, and it has made electric mobility sexy. Now, in the post-Dieselgate era, the VW Group has focused all its resources on electric mobility, and this is Exhibit A. This is Audi's first electric car. That's why we're in the desert outside Abu Dhabi, because we're going to get into the driver's seat and see if Tesla should be having sleepless nights. So the traditional automakers aim to hit Tesla hard with a series of production electric vehicles. We drove the Jaguar I-Pace a couple of months ago, and it was fantastic. Behind me is the Audi e-tron, and I happen to think it looks really good. Sure, it doesn't have Falcon doors like the Tesla Model X, but look at it. It looks really, really good, and it's got virtual wing mirrors. We've seen them on concept cars for a number of years, but this is the first production car to have, instead of a traditional set of wing mirrors, virtual wing mirrors, cameras with screens on the inside. Absolutely everything in this car is designed to cut through the air as efficiently as possible. It has a coefficient of drag of 0.28 with a standard set of wing mirrors and a CD of 0.27 with the virtual wing mirrors that you see here. Incidentally, it betters the Jaguar, which is 0.29, but both are outdone by the Model X, which is ultra slippery at 0.24. But there's one distinct difference between the Tesla, the Jaguar, and the Audi that we have here. You see, the Audi e-tron is actually coming to India. It'll be introduced a year from now, at the end of 2019 or early 2020. And of course, it won't be cheap. It's expected to set you back well over £1 crore when it hits Audi's Indian showrooms. Right, we are at Jebel Hafeet, a beautiful mountain road in the UAE, and this is the perfect place to test the dynamics of this car. Now obviously we drove on the highway getting here, and the first thing that strikes you about driving this car on the highway is that it is extremely easy to drive. It feels very natural, and actually the first thing that strikes you is that it feels really quick on its feet. Because there's no engine noise, there's hardly any sound at all. You've got acoustic glass, you've got very little road noise, virtually non-existent, very little wing noise, and also that helps because the wing mirrors are so little, since you've got these virtual wing mirrors, cameras rather than full-size wing mirrors. There's very little wind noise as well. So it's really very silent, very refined, and you hit the accelerator pedal and the car takes off. So you've got a 95 kilowatt hour battery pack, which is good for 400 kilometers of range according to Audi. You've got two motors, one in the front and one at the back, a combined power output of 300 kilowatts and 664 Nm. 0 to 100 in boost mode of 5.7 seconds. So it's pretty quick. Boost mode is a little bit extra sort of surge in power that it gives you for 8 seconds to really get things going. Now, as we drive down this mountain, we should actually, if we're coasting and being a little bit gentle with the accelerator pedal, between the brakes and the fact that we're coasting going downhill, we should actually be generating range and increasing range as we're going downhill. Now, the one thing that it does not have, which a lot of EVs do and which you get used to pretty easily, is single pedal drive. So a lot of the other EVs like the BMW i3, like the Nissan Leaf, like the Teslas, have what they call single pedal drive effectively. So the minute you get off the accelerator pedal, it's very aggressive deceleration. So it's almost like as soon as you get off the pedal, you're using the brakes to slow the car down. This one does not have it. You've got paddles here which allows you to adjust the amount of deceleration that you have. So at any given point in time, you can use the paddles to make the deceleration more aggressive, but it doesn't give you that by default. I'm not sure how I feel about that at this point, because when you're in an electric car, essentially you get very used to the car doing everything for you. So you want all the autonomous driving technology, you want that single pedal drive, you want it to be as effortless, even mindless to a certain extent as possible. And this is not quite there yet. It does not have the levels of autonomy that a Tesla would have, for instance. At the moment, it doesn't have the single pedal drive. So how does it feel when you're pushing it around these corners? Well, it weighs 2.5 tons, so it is a heavy, heavy machine. The advantage that a lot of these electric cars have is that the battery pack is set very low in the floor of the car. And as a result of that, the weight distribution is very good. The weight distribution is 50-50 front to rear. The way the power is distributed is that the majority of the power goes to the rear wheels, but when you ask for it, it transfers, well, it doesn't transfer power to the front, but the motor in the front starts feeding power to the front wheels as well. So effectively, it acts like an electronic all-wheel drive system. So the battery pack alone weighs 700 kilos. So it's certainly a heavy car. So when you're pushing it in these tight, twisty mountain roads, you can sense that it is a big, heavy car. But for the most part, when you're driving it fairly reasonably and not going crazy around the bends, it does feel really quick on its feet. It does not feel like it weighs 2,500 kilos. And it feels like quite a pleasant experience behind the driver's seat. So it's a bit of a mixed bag when you're in the driver's seat. The first thing is that you just get in and drive. You don't have to adjust to anything. It feels perfectly normal and perfectly natural to be sitting in the driver's seat of this car. Pretty much the only thing that you have to adjust to is the fact that you're not looking at the wing mirrors on the outside, but you're looking at screens on the door panels. But other than that, and that essentially takes about 5 minutes of getting used to it, and then you're done. Other than that, it feels like a very normal, natural driving experience. And that's a good thing because it'll be very easy to adopt the EV driving experience. It's a little bit disappointing because it's such a massive jump in technology and it's a paradigm shift as far as the automobile industry is concerned. But from the driver's seat, you wouldn't know it because it feels pretty much like any other well-engineered, reasonably fast, quiet luxury car. In terms of it being involving and fun to drive, well, it's never going to be as involving or fun to drive as a car with a big V8 or even a V6 under the bonnet. It just doesn't feel visceral. It does feel a little bit more disconnected. You get in it and you want the technology to pretty much take over and do everything for you because you're not an integral part of the driving experience. You feel like you're an additional component in this quest for zero emissions motoring in the most efficient, quiet and luxurious way possible. If that's what you're after, then the Audi e-tron scores 5 stars because it does that very, very easily and extremely, extremely efficiently.